Hi friends, how's it going? I have what turned out to be a part two of two, even though they are completely separately written journals. So this one is called It Just Clicked, Being Danced, two of two, and it follows on the one about fractal living. Okay? So let me share it with you. Oh, it's from 12:15. The second journal of that day, the Mayan day, was 9 star. I've got it! Even now, as my previous video is uploading in TubeMogul, I've got it. It just came to me. What is that? Oh dear. Well, in the previous one, I tried to share something from deep in my heart. It's a thing where I sort of sat down under my own bow tree and went on strike in a way from life. Well, from life as I'd been living it. I'd been on the spiritual path all those years, and where was I? It wasn't good enough. I wanted more. I bet many of you can relate to this. Well, I also tried to explain how all the housework doesn't get done so much here. Now, that's a strange one to share, isn't it? By sharing it, I sought to transfer to you some of what it's like to be me, to live from this heart, heck, from any heart, preferably yours. I'd explained previously how all of the cleaning needing to be done, out of all of that, I had picked out the ceiling fans and lights, and how strange that was, kind of impractical. Well, it finally came together inside in a way I can share it. It's called being danced. Yep. I'll initial cap it, the B and the D capital, just to highlight how important this is in my life. Being danced. This is all about shifting completely the way your ship of state, your boat of life, is steered and controlled. Up until now, for most everyone, mind has been running the show. Mind has been in charge. If you live in mind all of the time, this is still the way of life for you. And there's nothing wrong in that. Don't think I'm saying there is. Heck, there's no other way we could reasonably be, considering how we've been programmed. It's really pathetic. But we seem to have some real losers in charge of things, doing all of this programming of the populace all around the world. So, how else could we turn out? Come on. That's where we all start, in the left brain. Well, most of us. Now, usually for the light beings that so many of us are, we get good and tired of that. We just know there's got to be a better way, and we launch out on our search. For most of us, this leads to the spiritual path, which we set out to explore. Heaven knows there's plenty of material all around, so we pick and we choose, threading our way through all of that. Now, if you're like me, at some point, you'll just stop. You'll be so deeply in love, divine love, with that, with Source, with the all, well, whatever you call it, that all you've done up to now, it just isn't enough. You want, no, you have got to have more. You want full contact, the whole enchilada. Now, this may creep up on you, actually. It did me. It happened along about the time I was watching the live Oprah webinar with Eckhart Tolle all those weeks. Boy, did I get into that. It was so awesome. Feeding something deep inside in a way never done before. Guess it was just what I needed at just that time. Now, even so, I didn't make the big jump there. It made me. How is that? Well, as I pondered the very strange things this man said, some of which I was familiar with, but most of it not. Something just began to click deep inside. Suddenly, what was happening was that all of my spiritual path, all of my searching, praying, the whole lot, began to come into focus somehow. I didn't know this at the time. That's looking back that puts it together that way. Now, this led me to a couple of books in addition to Tolle's. I remember reading or rereading The Fourth Way on Gurdjieff by Ouspensky, and that also clicked. No doubt I read some other things, but it was all so intensely coming to a head. It was leading me somewhere where I didn't know. I just knew I couldn't do other than what I was doing. At some point, I remember laying across my bed reading Ouspensky. At some point, everything just seemed to stop. I didn't know it at that time, but my life was over. Life as I'd known it, that is. It died right then and there, never to come back again, and it hasn't. Some inner commitment was reached or offered. I don't know. It didn't happen in the conscious mind. I just know something clicked. Now, Buddha sitting under the bo tree by the river comes to mind, as it did back then. Without any thought at all, what came to me was that I must do the same. This was very intense internally, though life outside seemed to remain much the same for a bit, yet it wasn't. This was the point of total commitment, the point of no return. This was when I threw in everything I had and said, go for it. Now, I'm making it seem like it was a decision I somehow came to. It was not. It did me. I did not do it. If you don't get this yet, keep on reading. You will. And be in heart. What started happening here is that I lived by new rules. The main one was that every moment, every day, every night, every action was consecrated to light. My whole life was to become my meditation, though I didn't yet see it like that. I just knew this blanket of consecration fell over everything. Nothing at all was reserved from it. I'd have consecrated sitting on the pot if I'd have thought of it. Like that, see? Okay, you can quit laughing now. I also didn't know yet about this way of heart. I hadn't come to that, invented it, whatever it is that happened. Tolle doesn't speak that way of heart. He talks about the inner body, but in the end, it amounts to about the same. All roads lead to Rome if you're a light being. Not the real Rome. That's just how it works. The light sort of takes over now, with your consent, of course. But even so, it's still pretty strange. So much of the understanding I'm sharing here now about this is, well, it comes from hindsight. That's obvious. I was clueless about pretty much of everything at that time. That was the start of trusting to that, to being led by the heart. I didn't yet have these words for it, or heck, maybe I did. I'd have to go back to the journals to see. I just somehow knew that the heart was so critical. I just felt it there. Now, that which unified all that followed was this one thing. Everything had to come from the heart. If it didn't initiate there, I wasn't having any of it. I just wasn't interested. Things started falling off my plate like mad back then. Oh, the things I lost interest in. It was simply amazing. Nothing else mattered. Not at all. Now, I say that, but it wasn't a totally smooth ride. I didn't just walk right into this. No, the mind fought me all the way for a time, a good long while too, not just a few days, weeks, or months. Also, just being a regular Jane like anyone else, I was riddled with programming and rotten, crazy beliefs that I didn't even know I had. They're subconscious, you know the drill. We all have this. So, this way of living really did put things in my face. Was I willing not to bathe until the heart motivated me to it? That one was mighty interesting and strange. What about my teeth? Would I let them go? Did heart have to run everything? You bet it did. If the body didn't absolutely have to do it, like using the toilet, it didn't get done until heart led me to it. Now, a small part of this is due to the body's disabilities, what I'm going to say here, which makes running the vacuum and washing windows more of a chore than I can really do. They're just too much for it. Still, I can do the rest, the laundry, the dusting, the dishes and such. I can sweep the floor. We all have those chores. Yet, I didn't do these either. Still don't. Not until heart takes me there. Okay, let me add a little something here. What this does for me ultimately, as no doubt some are wondering, being heart, is it enables my world around me to be a true, total reflection of what's inside. So I know as I look at my environment, this is the real reflection without mind tinkering with it at all, trying to put a nice face on it, make it look nicer than what it really is. Truth and only truth. This is a part of that. Okay, back to the journal. Not until heart takes me there. But I think I've actually got some words that will help everyone get the sense of this. And it's called being danced. Now, sure, most of us have heard this before, but in my life, this is what that looks like. And if you can really put yourself into this picture, you'll get a sense of what a challenge it can be. Learning to live this way, just letting literally everything go, isn't easy. Mind isn't having it, I can tell you. Oh, how mind rebelled. Well, that was hard, but it was actually helpful. It helped me see myself that much more clearly as I listened to mine go on and on about how I must be crazy and all the rest, all the self-doubt, the criticism, and so on. I had to learn to watch, but not engage it. That's when I learned, or began to learn, what Eckhart meant when he said we could watch thoughts go by like clouds, but not follow them. I didn't choose to follow the thoughts. I learned to just look away. I learned the power of what I call the ray of attention. What we place our attention on it's really a power. It changes that thing forever. Consider in physics the observation problem, how we, by our very act of just observing, alter the outcome of the experiments. This we do by the power of the ray of attention. Our attention is power of a kind we're unaccustomed to even acknowledging or knowing about, much less wielding consciously. Accent on the last word. I was basically on a sit-down strike from life. Now, this still goes on, by the way. I go shopping for groceries and so on about once every other month, sometimes 3 months. Yeah, I buy a lot at once, so I won't have to bother soon again. Plus, should there be an outage or issue of some sort, I'm usually quite well stocked up, and that's handy. Lots of hot cereal, peanut butter, such that last a long time. Anyway, that's it. I don't go out otherwise, but very rarely, if at all. So I sit and occupy here 24/7, just being with self. It's an interesting life, or not, of course, for those living in mind. Okay, I guess that's enough. I was just so excited to finally have the picture click for me. Probably some of you got it well before I did. Still, writing or talking about such things can be mighty tricky, so often it seems as if the words just don't exist. And I know these don't totally take you there either. Still, I think they have more clarity than usual, and I'm grateful for that. So, celebrate with me. It's so delightful having things click. May they click for one and all of us, and often. Source, bless us all. Okay, now that was written 12:15, and I just came back to it an hour ago. So this is the 12:16 edition of a few more pages. Okay, another piece just fell into place. This seems like the most likely place to put it to share it. So here goes. What is the feeling tone of it when you dance? Is it not joy? Now, why else would we dance but for the fun of it, right? Well, that is very key to this being danced thing. One does nothing unless the joy flow is present and points you that way. Only then does action follow. Now, that doesn't convey it very well either, since it makes it seem as if one awaits a certain condition and then uses the will to take action on it, and it's not like that at all. One is just danced along. One notices the joy as a sort of a side effect. It's always present. But wait, that's not right either. Oh dear. Dicey waters in which I'm swimming here, putting words to this thing. Oh well, it is what it is, and those in heart will have their own inner knowing, their own discernment, which will correct what is said here to give them the correct inner understanding. It is enough. Here's the thing though. How open are you to joy, even divine joy in your life? Do you ever let it in? Does it ever come knocking? Or are you maybe too suspicious, too distrustful of everything to risk it? If you're like that, first off, know that it's understandable. You are probably one of the more open, the more discerning ones who have simply looked around and seen that all of 3D seems to be swimming in nonsense and riddled with outright deceit. Well, yes, I admit that is the case. What I say is, so what? Will you let that hold you back? What do you care for that? What is it to you? What impact does it have on your inner being, your true nature? I'll tell you if you don't yet know, and the answer is none. It matters not at all. All of that can be so, can be the real case, and still your inner world can be dancing in joy. Do you know this yet? Have you sufficiently disconnected from those old images you had of the self enough to have backed off and seen this and felt it? If you will do what it takes to back up and disidentify from your physical being, everything physical, everything 3D, you can finally find your way here into heart. Your heart kingdom awaits. Let all of that go. Drop it. Remove it from thought and concern. Let it be to you the true nothing that it really ultimately is. All that is seen or touched, sensed is transient, here for a day, an hour, a century or two, and then gone. Its permanence, if it has any, is in your experience of it. For you are the eternal one. You are that. Step into this inner kingdom. Leave all that mind says aside for the moment. You can pick it up later if you like. Let it go for now. You can do this. Never believe that you can't. Enter heart. Enter the now. Ignore all thoughts that arise. See them, but just look away. Ignore. Keep centering back inside. It is really that easy. I kid you not. And I'm going to step out of this journal again and say, if you're having trouble doing this, then maybe what you need to adopt is the new belief that says you can and that it's easy. All right. Now, what I was sharing here, or what I want to share, is how important beliefs are and a bit of insight on changing them. Do you believe you deserve joy and happiness? Do you hold any sense of unworthiness at all? These can be subtle. Remember, such things hide out in the subconscious. You may not have any conscious evidence of it at all. It could still be there. Be a good watch and observe detective to spot them, and you will. They are most likely there. You were programmed along with all of the rest of us here. Well, own it. Be willing to own it. And then deal with it. How do you do that? Just see that it exists. Just look at it. No judgment, no criticism, no blame, no resentment, no finger pointing or any such thing. Just be empty and look. The action takes place in the seeing, if you are seeing from heart, from that centered space. Inner eyes have this power, and seeing truly is doing. It is enough, but not if you let mind get involved. Then you just twist it into some new karmic knot or maze or another, and you don't see truly when mind is involved. Be still. The belief to adopt that will help you dive right into these things is this: joy is your natural state. You deserve joy. Life is meant to be joy-filled. It is right for you to follow your bliss. Those are written in the transcript. So you might want to print this one out and highlight them and really adopt them. Write them down on a Post-it. Joy is my natural state. I deserve joy. It's not only all right to follow my bliss, it's right. It's the best and highest thing that I can do for life. Okay, if you will be in heart and truly accept this, the acceptance of mind is superficial and ineffective, though also helpful, then the alchemy will take place. You will soon see surfacing in your mind, in your awareness, all those subterranean bits as they swim up from their subconscious layers, propelled out by the strange vibration of this new belief. It clashes with them. They don't like it one bit, and so they seek to eliminate it, to destroy it. They come to the surface to speak. Thus will you get to hear your innards talking to you. Kismet, that's okay, puppy. No. The mind will do its little dance of disbelief, even outrage, if you have very much buried below. If the tone of your life, your personality, your emotional tone is overly negative, This new belief will sink down in there about like a lead balloon, down into your awareness. It won't feel very good. Your emotional tone may get a bit unsteady now and again as you're digesting your right to feel joy, to live in that. So, I guess that's enough. I just wanted to share that rather practical bit, the one about joy. It should perhaps be obvious that being danced and joy go together, but nothing really is, not anymore. Not to the mind anyway. Things of heart are not at all obvious to mind. Of course, everything is quite simple and natural to heart, but we are not well acquainted with that yet, are we? Not most of us. So we'll be dealing more with the mind's world than the one deeper within. Maybe one of the best gifts you can give to yourself at this point is to begin to distrust your own mind. That would be a very good start. I can recommend, if you don't mind a good bit of swearing, an older video I did called Open Letter to Mind. So I'll put the link in the transcript. Just remember, if you object to spicy language, don't click it. I guess I'll close with a bit regarding the use of colorful language, since it's clearly not a part of my regular vocabulary. I use words differently than most. Maybe you've noticed, maybe not. Anyway, I mean what I say. I watch my words. I don't say much of anything casually. And sometimes swear words are appropriate. Words are meant to express. And sometimes what we have to express can best be said that way. Thus, I am all for the appropriate use of colorful language, okay? Does this make sense to you? It is not casual or colloquial at all. Neither is it said to get attention. It seriously and literally just comes with the flow now and again. So, if you go back far enough in my journals, you'll find that I went through a period where I used that language often enough that I would actually R-rate my videos because of it, warning parents not to play them if children were present in the room, or use headphones or whatever. I hope that's clear enough. Naturally, there will be those who disagree with me. I respect that. Hey, that's why I put the rating on, just for you. There are many among the men to whom this will be piffle and much ado over nothing. So, my request is that we all retain the feelings and attitudes of our choice, without thinking that we have to convert those around us to our chosen ways. Don't try to save anyone at all but your own self. That's what we're all called to, and many scriptures back me up. God within, go within is the advice of pretty much all of them. Well, the ones I care for anyway. Let us enter so deeply into self-love and self-respect that we're willing to give it to the other guy too. The golden rule. Let's let each other live the lives of their choice. Less meddling would be good for us all. Good day then. God bless.